外国人に京都と言っても通じないって？皆さんこんにちは、朝です。僕の日本人の友達が外国人と話すときに不思議なことがよくあります。例えばですね、京都出身の友達はアメリカ人の知り合いと話していて、I'm from Kyoto と言ったら、Where's that? 全く通じなかったです。And that's me, where are you from?
I'm from Kyoto, in Japan.
Where in Japan?
Kyoto.
Where's that? 実を言うとですね、日本人が英語を話していて、名古屋、トヨタ、京都っていう知名度の高い地名とか名前を言うときに通じないことが多いです。それってなぜでしょうか？原因は発音にあります。今回のレッスンでは、1、日本人が京都と言っても通じない理由。2、外国人に通じやすい発音のコツ。3、この発音のコツに従わない意外な例外を学びましょう。よろしくお願いします。So first, let's talk about specifically why when Japanese people say place names like Kyoto to native speakers, they don't really understand. I mean, they should understand, right? I mean, the spelling is the same, Kyoto, right? I mean, Kyoto is famous all over the world. Everybody knows where Kyoto is, so why doesn't it make sense? It's because of the pronunciation. You see, Japanese people, even when they speak English, tend to pronounce the place names with a Japanese pronunciation. But for it to make sense to native speakers, it's important to pronounce it in an English pronunciation. Wait, Arthur, come on. Kyoto is a Japanese place. It's a Japanese word, so you should pronounce it in Japanese pronunciation, right? I understand it can get confusing. When you write Kyoto in Romaji, that looks the same as the English word when you write it down. And so it's easy to think that it's the same word, but that's not the case. When you're speaking English and using those place names become English words, and they need to follow the pronunciation rules of English. In order to pronounce these places naturally in English like a native speaker, we have to let go of the idea that these place names are Japanese words. When you're speaking them in an English conversation, they are not Japanese words. They become completely different English words. We need to think about them on their own, totally separate from Japanese. But I understand that that's really hard. I mean, to be honest, even myself, I struggle with this when I'm speaking Japanese. You know, there are a lot of katakana words that come from English in Japanese. And so when I'm using those katakana words in Japanese, I want to pronounce them like the English word. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
What? McDonald.
マクドナルド。
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 McDonald. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I know it's difficult, but if you can overcome this, then you become even that much closer to making English a part of yourself. Remember, these words Kyoto, Nagoya, Toyota, they are not Japanese words when you're speaking in English. They become English words and they need to follow English pronunciation rules. But here's where I want you to be careful. A lot of people, when they think of pronunciation, they think of really difficult things. They think about the L and the R and the TH sounds. But to have 自然に通じる発音, you don't really need to focus on those things. There's something more important. I shared it in more detail in this video, but the basic gist of what I said was that more than the individual sounds, the overall rhythm is more important. Even if you get the individual sounds perfectly, if the rhythm is off, native speakers will not really understand. So when I say we need to pronounce these words with English pronunciation, I'm talking about with English rhythm, not the individual sounds. Now, let's get into that in a little bit more detail now. Especially for pronouncing Japanese names in English, we want to follow one rule in English pronunciation, and that rule is to put the stress on the penultimate syllable. Penultimate what? もうちょっと簡単な言葉使って。Oh, okay. Sorry. I mean, when I say penultimate, I mean the second from the last syllable. So you have the last sound, but it's the sound before the last sound. Now, I know actually that might be a little bit more confusing this way. In English, a lot of words tend to have the emphasis on the second to last sound, the second to last syllable. For example, in the words creation, computer, camera. カメラの綴りはですね、イが入ってるんですけど、そのイをほぼ発音しないので、2つの音になってますね。だから、camera になってます。camera じゃなくて。So when you pronounce Japanese names in English, it's important to put the emphasis on the second to last syllable. So Akari becomes Akari, Tanaka becomes Tanaka, and Yusuke becomes Yusuke. 日本語の場合はすが入っていますね。でも実際にそのうの音をほとんど発音しないので、外国人にとって2つの音のように聞こえます。なので、Yusuke ではなく Yusuke になります。
So what about my name?
Oh, your name would be Natsumi.
夏美。
Natsumi.
夏美。
Natsumi.
夏美。
No, not Natsumi. Natsumi.
夏美。
Natsumi.
夏美。
Okay, we're not gonna fix this. Toyota becomes Toyota. Matsuda becomes Matsuda. ちなみに自動車メーカーのマツダは海外の名前が MAZDA になっています。発音しやすくなるようにマツダじゃなくて MAZDA になっています。なので発音がマツダじゃなくてマズダになっています。Now for names, there's one exception that I've figured out so far, and that's the name Erika. The name Erika in English is Erica, not Erika, but Erica. I don't know why. 他に思い浮かぶ例外がありましたら、ぜひコメント欄で教えてください。I want to try to get more of these 例外, so your comments are very appreciated. And it's not just people's names, place names follow the same rule. Kyoto becomes Kyoto. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird. Kyoto. Sapporo becomes Sapporo. この場合も小さいつも発音しないんですね。Sapporo じゃなくてSapporo です。名古屋は名古屋。北海道は北海道。青森は青森。沖縄は沖縄になります。In the beginning of this video, I talked about two surprising exceptions to this rule. And do you know what those exceptions are? The first one is Tokyo, and the second one is Japan. Yes, that's right. The two biggest, most famous places in Japan, Tokyo and Japan, don't follow this rule. It's not Tokyo, it's Tokyo. It's not Japan, it's Japan. Man, Japan just sounds really weird. I know that seems weird, but I didn't decide the rules, so don't get angry at me, okay? ちなみに今回のレッスンの発音練習と実践課題は世界とつながるムーブメントでアクセスできますので、会員の方はぜひご利用ください。Let's practice our pronunciation together. では、まとめに入りましょう。1、京都をそのまま英語で言っても通じないのは発音が原因です。2、京都は日本の地名なんですが、英語で話すときに英語の単語になるので、英語の発音に合わせて発音する必要があります。3、英語の発音では基本的に最後から2番目の音に強弱をつけます。なので、京都がKyotoになります。名古屋は名古屋になります。あかりはAkari、田中はTanakaになります。このルールに従わない例外は Tokyo と Japan ぐらいです。Okay, so we learned some great English communication today. でもそれでも問題があります。ほとんどの方は英語をたくさん学ぶのですが、外国人といきなり対面するってなると、頭が真っ白になって言葉が出てこなくて、全く話せなくなります。趣味で英語を勉強している場合はそれで問題ないかもしれないんですけど、やっぱり英語を学ぶだけではなく実際に外国人と話せるようになるにはちょっと難しいです。具体的にどのことをしたら教室とかレッスンではなく生の場面で実際に外国人と話せるようになるんでしょうか。今回のレッスンで紹介するのは長くなるので、本当に心から学びたい方には無料レッスンでお届けしております。その無料レッスンの詳細はこちらか You can get it from below this video in the description box below, and you can learn more details about it there. As always, enjoy your English adventures. 一緒に世界とつながりましょう。See you next time. McDonald's is マクドナルド。
マクドナルド。
マクドナルド
マクドナルド。
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 マクドナルド。そんな
マクドナルド
変わんないでしょ。マクドナルド。What? マクドナルド。
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 マクドナルド。